To say that a lot happened in this 7 Deadly Sins episode was an understatement. About 20 different fucking things happened at once, all going throughout everything, and yeah, this was definitely a change from like the first episode where I felt like they followed the manga too much at points, like kind of sticking to some of it and then adding a little bit of spice. This decided to go and add a ton of stuff, like all around the place. It was absolutely mad. So I think it's time we get into this, because there was overall, I'd like to say, 3 kind of story plots going on at the same time. We've got obviously everything going on with the 10 Commandments, then we've got everything that's involving fucking Galva, and then also as well we've got everything involving like Ban, like a King. It's just it was a fucking like, it was madness. So let's try and get into this one, because this episode was going at a millions miles per hour. So I guess the first thing we should kind of address is mainly the 10 Commandments kind of little deal, is that they're there and they've realized, once they were fully realized, like, wait, what the hell is like with, you know, what is with Fraudrin right now, which is what they're clearly addressing him as, like with what Dreyfus is, and he's like, wait, why are you in a human body? More importantly, what's going on? He's like, well, I was able to do stuff like pretty much throughout the time. It would be a bit hard to be secret if I was in my true form. Not to mention as well, like, it's been around about 10 years or so before like he seemingly regained consciousness. So it sounds like he was inside of Dreyfus for a while, and then pretty much once he fully able to like don control, that's when he was able to like kind of move this plan into action to bring his brothers and sisters back into this world. One thing that he did have to mention though, and like what we saw as well with Zeldris, is that he mentioned that all of them are, ever since the Goddess Seal, they are completely drained of their powers. They don't seem to have a lot of strength left in them, and they're not at their full power, but you can still see that they seem quite still like a powerful like race to like deal with. But it's the problem is like, we need to deal with these guys like as fast as possible, otherwise this is just going to get more and more bad like the longer they keep these guys around. Obviously that was a thing that like Meliodas and also as well Merlin addressed, which was like, we felt that like Merlin kind of like freaked out a little bit hearing about like these 10 Commandments being back, and it's like these elite forces, and it's like clearly Meliodas is saying, I need this thing back. I like clearly talking about an item that he stole like when like Merlin left immediately, and it was like, I want to, like, I need to know about this, I need to get this thing back, give it back to me, because it's that time where it's like, this is seriously needed right now, and we're going to have to rely upon that. So, whether or not what people can kind of guess what that is, like, we're not going to have to wait long to find out, because clearly they're going through all different parts of the manga and just putting it through here, and it was there. Now, going on to, like, the side with Ban and King, they go back to the Fairy Forest immediately, which, by the way, they kind of skimmed through a little bit, but hey, Jericho's there as well, like, she decided to appear. It was more of a thing, I think, in the manga, they kind of explained more why she was there, but, like, Ban just smashes a rock and is like, oh, she's there, and, like, she's very clingy to, like, Ban, and it seems like she has, like, a kind of little crush kind of thing on. Yeah, because that's one way to have someone fall in love with you, is by, like, stripping them down naked once, and then saving their life from a demonic force. So, you know, whatever works for some people, I guess, but that was the kind of thing, kind of, like, really heavily skimmed around, and people was wondering what the hell was going on with that. They would get to the Fairy King Forest, and then they decide to call Ban the King of Fairies, whereas like everyone is throwing rocks and booing at King. It's like, you know, you're the one that murdered Elaine, like you abandoned us in our time of need. So King is completely down and depressed after that, and like Ban doesn't want none of this. Ban doesn't want to be like the king, and he's like, what if I was truly king, then would it be acceptable for me to try and kill my best friend to bring back the woman I love? Whilst we have the entire rest of that is just like King moping about, which we find out as well, like, oh, his best friend's alive now as well, he lives in the spirit. Like, do you see what I mean? Where I'm not joking by, like, there's a lot of kind of either emotional moments or big moments happening, but there has to be something going on and there and on and on. It's like, it was so much like to like the brain to process, and there's parts where like, this is the thing as well, like where clearly they are doing this because of the main reason that, like, the start of this arc, if they went like 2 chapters at a time, no one would give a fuck, because I can clearly say, as someone who reviewed the manga going through this, that like it took like, I'd like to say 2 months before we even really got any of this stuff happening. It took a while for this arc to set up, and like I think that's what they are doing this to kind of speed things along because, you know, people want to see some of the better moments. I feel like it kind of takes away from some of the bits I liked from those early chapters, like especially with like Elizabeth and Diane. I felt like that was still a really sweet moment, but I kind of liked a little bit more of like more dedicated time upon that, which is it. Like I said, this pacing is a blessing and a curse, and I don't want people saying that that's me coming negative off the episode. I think it does do some things very well, but also, well, it does take away some elements from like what was really good about some of these chapters in the manga. Since, like, you know, no, we need to have a go think about this. But another big detail as well is something going on with Diane. Diane finally remembers everything between her childhood with King. So she knows actually like what truly went on, like how, like basically that they always were kind of together, and realizes that like she truly cares for King. That's like she actually loves him, and like kind of got over a whole thing with the captain and realized there's someone out there that actually truly cares for her, and she truly cares for him. So that was a nice moment. It's like both like them and like Elizabeth are like sitting down and talking about this, because clearly like Elizabeth is distraught about this because she wants to go along with like Meliodas. Meliodas doesn't want her to, because clearly danger is lurking on the other side and he doesn't want her to get involved with this. But when seeing this, is like she also is like being conflicted with her feelings as well, and finally realizes that yeah, she likes Meliodas a lot. Like, in fact, like she loves him. And the problem is though is that there's that big hurdle of someone else there called Liz, and it's like, wait, this is the one person I truly cared about. It's like this was Meliodas' lover, and kind of feeling like, am I just a replacement? Like, what am I to him? Like, so that was going on through like that episode. And then Galva as well, Merlin having to give him some like magic suppressant stuff because he seems quite unstable right now, or like not so trustworthy, and then completely find out that he's not only been manipulating Guila to be his lover, he's also erased every part of her memories with her own, like, brother, which was kind of fucked up. Replacing all the bad memories with, like, Guima saying, like, oh, like, I've been your fiancé, and, like, we've been trained together since we were kids to be holy knights, all this fucked up shit. The poor kid, like, Zeal, or whatever his name was, like, he just doesn't know who he is anymore. He just discarded this guy. It's like, the kid doesn't have any memories, and it's just like, this really angers Diane, like, with obviously being someone that lost her memories and finally remembering who she truly cared for. It's like, you can't just take away a loved one from her. Like, this is, regardless of what, like, of all the bad memories she's had with her father and everything that was going on, it's like, this is still part of the like, there's still part of the family, the only bit, like, she properly cared about. And Galva, yeah, Galva's gone nuts. Like, he's absolutely gone insane for the most part, as he's, like, goes out, pulls out his sacred weapons, pulls out, like, the two bows, and then just starts erasing, like, everyone just goes blackout. So now we've got two sins fighting each other, which, like, there's a lot of drama going on with this episode. Like, the episode clearly cuts off there, but, like, there was that going on, and I even as well, thinking back, we had the whole thing with like the three like holy knights as well, with them leaving because they found out like some ancient books, which I think at the end of season 1 they went into a little bit. They talking about like, oh, maybe like, you know, like Dreyfus isn't who he think he is and all that, and that maybe he was in it all along. And it's like they like, you see, they skimmed so much stuff and they kind of try and address that, and it's like, I wouldn't have minded, and I still think, like, we haven't got a confirmation of, like, how long this show is supposed to be, but I think even as well, they're trying to plan, it's like, okay, like, let's just try and get it as much as possible right now, see what's happening. Other than that, yeah, just go for it. I still like this episode, but, like I said, holy shit, did they just, they went through, like, a ton of stuff, and I honestly am trying to imagine where how many chapters this was. I'd like to say this is maybe about 4 or so, like 4 or 5. It was like, but then again, we were skimming around from, like, I like to say it was also skimming around different parts of chapters and stuff. Like, it was pretty all around, I'd say, on there. Maybe that's just, it's either that or, like, I like to say that maybe there were just a lot of things happened in those chapters, like, because it just felt so fucking, like, fast-paced with all that stuff going on. But regardless of what, I'm very curious to see, like, what people thought of this chapter and what they're thinking so far of, like, since. Like, I'm still definitely enjoying it. I think, like, maybe the show might want to fucking slow down a tiny bit. That's just the bit. But I think it will once we get to the later chapters, because it still have to remind you, this is the longest arc in Sins. I'd like to say this is double, like, I think it's like double in length now, nearly, compared to like the last arc, like to the whole, counting the entire of like the whole bit of the Holy Knight saga, which was the entire like 20 plus episodes that we had of like the original Seven Deadly Sins, like, and I think that was 100 chapters in total. Like, all of this is like, it's even double than that at this point. Like, it's a mad amount of chapters that we're getting into, and even supposedly that we're having another arc afterwards as well. That's insane. So, like, yeah, I think that it's a lot of things where it's just like, we want to tell this story, but we haven't got a full, we can't do like maybe 70 plus episodes of this, like, so I'm very curious, like, what I'm gonna leave this with you guys now. What do you think of it so far? Do you like what they're doing so far? Do you want them to get to the best bits so far? Because personally, there are some bits I'm really looking forward to, but definitely, yeah, I think, if anything, I loved some of the content in there, had some really nice emotional moments in there. I just, like I said, I think it can just calm down a little bit and, like, slow down ever so slightly, but let me know what you guys think. But that's all from me. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I'll see you guys, though, next time.